Have at this time what we call the big story. And what can we tell you? We've been talking about it all morning. The accident that took the lives of young students, yesterday in the Clarendon vicinity. And we're joined this morning by the Member of Parliament for North Central Clarendon, Honourable Robert Morgan. Good morning, Minister Morgan. How are you today?
Hi, I'm fine. Good morning, Lucien. Good morning to you, listeners.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Minister. We also are joined by the Vice Chairman of the Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucien Jones, who is also my guest. Good morning, Dr. Jones, and welcome.
Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Minister. Good morning to you, listeners.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Minister, if you will, I'll start with you. Of course, yesterday was a sad day in your constituency, as families have been left mourning the loss of their loved ones. A young boy and a young lady were killed in an accident, a tragic accident. We understand, Minister, that you spent a lot of yesterday supporting the families, visiting the injured students, and basically being active in the community. What can you tell us about how things went yesterday when you got there?
It was a very intense situation where you saw parents. They weren't told that their child had died because they couldn't do that on the phone. They were told to come to the hospital. Mm-hmm. It was when they arrived at the hospital that they realized that they had a child who was in the accident. I mean, it's hard for you to send out your child to school. School is usually a safe space. And on the way there, so we stayed there for most of the morning while the parents come, the school guidance counselor, the principal, other support staff. I must say a big thank you to the medical staff at Nathan Hospital for the compassion and patience that they showed to the victims and their families yesterday. It's really commendable. And it was a very intense experience because, as you know, two children died, and one went into surgery yesterday. I spoke to his aunt sent me a message last night. He was out of surgery, but he was still in critical condition. So we're hoping and praying that he will pull through.
Yes. And
then afterwards, we went to the school where the entire school was in mourning because everybody knows these children. It's a very rural school, so it's a very close-knit school. The teachers are very close to the students, and it was a very traumatic experience for the teachers, support staff. I mean, the tears were flowing. Mm-hmm. I myself have to confess that I too could not hold it. I mean, it was a very tragic circumstance. But we're going to pull together. We're going to stand together. We're going to stand as one family, as one team. We're going to help each other to go through this. I mean, you cannot tell a parent how to mourn or even... I don't know what to say to a parent who has lost a child. Mm-hmm. I don't know there are no words that you can use to comfort them other than to just be there for them, and that's what we're going to be doing.
Yes. Minister, you made a statement which basically you said this tragedy need not have happened. So my question is, what specific factors do you think contributed to this accident, and how can we address them going forward?
Based on the news and based on the reports of the police, recklessness. You have an individual driving a car. The car is not insured. The car is not licensed to be on the road. The car is driving recklessly, and the car meets in an accident. It's not really an accident, I would call it, because there's nothing accidental about somebody doing that. I'm not casting any guilt on anyone. I'm just looking at the circumstances as outlined by the police. We have too many persons in the society who do not recognize that this vehicle that they drive can be a deadly weapon. And they drive recklessly, dangerously, they speed. It's like everybody is speeding. And this is the consequence. This is the consequence. It is better if the police stop you and you stop and get a ticket so you can live another day, so you can be free another day. Because if you hurt people and you kill people on the road, the police are going to find you and you're going to spend time in prison. For those out there who are driving illegal cars, yes, that's wrong. But if you are stopped, stop. Slow down. The lives that you have in your car are very precious. There are 5 families this morning who are mourning. There are 2 families who are mourning even greater because they lost their children. There's 1 family that is in turmoil this morning, not knowing if their son is going to pull through.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring Dr. Jones in the conversation. Dr. Jones, we have spoken several times on these matters before. In this instance, what message do you think this tragedy sends to the community? And by extension, how can we work together to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future?
Well, I want to pick up on something the minister said a little while ago about school should be a safe place. And that's true. But the challenge we face in Jamaica now is that the roads are no longer a safe place. And they have not been for a long time. And we have had 242 fatalities for the year so far. And 5 persons died less than 24 hours yesterday. 5. So we are talking, having a discussion with the media before the crash was reported. Because there are 2 persons who died in Clarendon the night before. So 4 persons died in Clarendon yesterday. And it brings into very sharp focus the fact that road fatalities is the second leading cause of violent death in Jamaica. And the National Road Safety Council has been trying to make this point again and again and again, that the entire country, in the same way that we are mobilized to deal with crime and other issues, we need to be paying the same attention, giving the same resources to trying to reduce the number of people who are dying. And in addition, the number of persons who are being injured. It is costing the country a tremendous amount of money. There was a study done, which needs to be repeated in 2014, in excess of $3 billion was lost today. Well, it cost the health sector at that time, and you can imagine what it is now. Mm-hmm. There was a report on TVD News a couple of days ago where there was a crash in Montego Bay where 9 people were injured. And the director of the hospital said it would cost $20 million to treat those injuries. So we are faced with a serious national problem. And we have a solution. The solution is a safe system approach, a comprehensive system which has been endorsed by our chairman, the Prime Minister. And we need to find a way to facilitate the use of this system across the length and breadth of Jamaica so that people can reach home safe, not just for Christmas, but for the entire year.
Mm-hmm. For the records, Dr. Jones, was it a case where the Transport Authority team were giving chase to an unruly motorist, or was it the police? And is there?
That's a big discussion yesterday.
Yes,
Richie.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to engage in that discussion because I think it's a distraction.
Yes.
If you are told to stop, you don't need to stop.
I agree with you on that.
There's a discussion about whether or not the police was chasing or pursuing or the Transport Authority. That's not the issue. The issue is that this was a reckless driver who was not licensed to drive, need to own the car, wasn't insured, and was driving recklessly, and as a result, mayhem occurred. That is the message we want to get across there. Not a discussion about whether or not he was being pursued.
Right.
They have every right to pursue him. And the reality is that it is not because of the pursuit why he crashed, because he was reckless. Mm-hmm.
I cannot fathom Minister Morgan being stopped by a police officer and decide to drive away, no matter what. I think I have a better chance of whatever to stop and have a discussion. And these drivers out there just feel that they're going to test the system and see whether or not they can be caught. And very often they have passengers with them, and very often they're not the ones that are dying; it's their passengers. Minister, back with you. I wanted to find out now if you can provide more information as to the levels of support that the students and the families affected by this tragedy will be receiving, maybe in the mid to medium term.
Well, we're early. One of the mother of one of the boys is actually from something in my constituency. The mother of one of the other of the girl is actually from Minister Charles' constituency. I know he is in contact. He's also related, and he used to live in my constituency, but he now lives in southern Clarendon.
Mm-hmm.
The boy who is currently recovering, the hospital is really doing a good job in trying to take care of him. But our pledge to the families is that we will do anything we can to assist them. Any of the 5 children who were involved, whether it be for funeral assistance or for other medical assistance, the Prime Minister is aware, and the government will do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been in touch with the school principal constantly, and we will do whatever we can to assist the school to cope with this tragedy, because nothing like this has ever happened to the students of Lennon before. But they too are traumatized, and I want to thank Minister Martix and the region for activating their grief mechanism, and they were there at the school. Other principals from surrounding areas, guidance counselors from surrounding areas. I think there was a guidance counselor from Denby High School who traveled all the way to Lennon. Richmond Park was there. Fitztanil Primary School was there, and others. I want to thank them as well for coming together as a community to help the students. So we are here to help, and we are willing to help, and we are standing with the parents and the students who have been traumatized and hurt.
Dr. Jones, does your mandate allow you to be able to get involved in things like grief counseling and stuff like that?
Not from a council point of view. I work in Maypen, so I'm aware of what is happening in terms of the at least one mother, a patient of mine, she works for him. So no, the council does not have a mandate. The council has a mandate to engage in public education and to coordinate all activities to deal with reduction of crashes and fatalities. And in fact, one of the things that we are quite disturbed about, because one of the persons who died, of the 5 who died yesterday, it was reported by the police that a driver swerved from a pothole and crashed into a car. That's why there's a female patient who died. So there are a number of issues. The recklessness of the drivers is one issue. The amount of motorcyclists who are dying because of not wearing helmets is another issue. As we approach Christmas period, people are going to be drinking and driving, and therefore we are sending messages out to deal with that. So it gets into the whole safe system, but no, we're not directly involved at a council level, although individual members who may know people have been involved in that.
Okay. Minister Morgan, as that point was just made by Dr. Jones, we know that there's been an announcement and some allocation in terms of monies set aside for repairs to our roadways and so on. Can you, as Minister of Works, give us any update on that?
So we've been trying to do some work on the road over the last 3 months, but as you can see, we have an unprecedented rain. So we did allocate a budget of about $3 billion to do some patching. And as well, we have allocated some monies in this 6-month period to members of parliament also to do some road repairs. I think this is the first time in a couple months that we have had a couple of days where the entire island is not inundated with water, and we tried to patch in the rain, and we lost asphalt because there was a lot of pressure to patch. Now that the rain on a bit, we will be doing some work in the city. But I want to say something to you, Richie, and I want to say it so, and I hope Lucien will support me. When there was an accident where it is alleged that it was caused by a pothole. When the police looked at the black box of the car was going over 100 kilometers an hour, which was way over the speed limit for the area. Right now, I have to express condolences to anyone who has lost their life on the road. But there is a level of recklessness where somebody does something inappropriate and they try to blame others or blame something else. So in the case of the 5 children from Lennon, persons were trying to say, well, if the transport was not chasing them, then they would not have met in an accident. When the facts are showing that they were not being chased by the transport authority. There are some articles coming where a man was allegedly, and the headline was, "Man dies because of potholes." Now there's another situation where somebody is speeding going over 100 kilometers per hour in an area where you're not supposed to go that fast. You come up on an issue in the road, you swerve into oncoming traffic and you crash. And the reason why you had the accident, based on the headlines, is because of the pothole. Right now, possibly in our driving, we have to recognize that there are going to be obstacles on the road. There are going to be animals crossing the road at points. There are going to be pedestrians on the road. There are going to be, we're trained when we're learning to drive that the roads are places that require a significant amount of attention and carefulness. I'm appealing to all the motorists out there. Yes, road conditions in some areas of the country are challenging. Drive carefully. Observe the obstacles in the road that may be there. Not always potholes. It could be a child running across the road. It could be an elderly person.
Yes.
Right? It is our responsibility as drivers, all of us who have a driver's license, to recognize that we have a higher duty of care when we go behind the wheel of a motor vehicle and have a very destructive contact on both us, our passengers, and pedestrians and other motorists alike. So, Richie, yes, there are potholes in the road. Yes, there are dangers in the road. There have always been dangers in the road. We created roads that could have been repaired many years ago, which have reached their end of life. But we as responsible people have to be very careful, recognizing the dangers that are out there, knowing that people in the road need to be extra vigilant to protect ourselves, those or
All right. Thank you, Minister. I'll allow Dr. Jones to give a comment and his appeal as we head closer to the Christmas season. And then I'll close out this segment with Damien Junagong Marley's Reach Home Safe. Dr. Jones.
Yeah, no, I support Minister Morgan in his understanding of what is happening. There's no question that the main reason why people are crashing and dying and killing other people has to do with recklessness. They're speeding and overtaking and not staying in the lane. But the one I mentioned, and there's another one, comes from a police report. It's not a matter of speculation. It's a police report. Mm-hmm. So there's a challenge, and as I said, the safe systems approach. We need to have safe roads. We need to have safe speeds and safe vehicles, safe road users, and an efficient post-crash system. It's something that we preach. As a gospel, we preach. So in the midst of that, the matter of safe roads is an important issue. And yes, I know there are challenges in terms of the weather conditions. But we have to find a way to rapidly increase the speed at which we are fixing the roads. And not just the potholes alone. It has to do with the road markings. It has to do with the road signs. The police have been trying desperately for about a year now. They presented, Minister Morgan would know about this, but perhaps before he came and took over the ministry, a whole set of findings that they did going across the entire island, where roads are desperately in need of, are urgently in need of markings and catch size, etc. So, finally, the message for the Christmas, I agree with you 100%. Let's try and reach home safe. Let's do what we can do. Let's not speed. Let's put on our helmets. Let's wear a seatbelt. Don't use your cell phone and drive unless you have a hands-free instrument. don't drink and drive, don't smoke marijuana and drive. This is our message we keep on. And the police, I know they are up to it in terms of increased enforcement issues. So together with the police and others, we are sending out messages and appealing, and the enforcement is a critical part of it. That all of us may wish them safe for Christmas and not just Christmas, for next year.
Dr. Jones, I want to thank you very much. Minister Morgan, thank you very much as well. Gentlemen, have yourselves a wonderful day. Take care.
Thank you very much, Lucien.
All right.
Thanks very much, Richard.
All the best to both of you.